Okay, let's dive into the source material. It starts with a pretty striking idea, doesn't it? That something seemingly totally destructive, like a natural disaster,
Right, like an earthquake.
yeah, could actually, well, open a door. A path to freedom you just didn't expect.
It's a really powerful frame, and it perfectly sets up the story in this document, 0077 Sinchit, which, what does that translate to again?
The scent of cake after the earthquake.
Perfect,
Yeah.
yeah. It's about this young man. Ah, see.
And his story is just this incredible mix, isn't it? You've got this, like, deep personal vow, then family stuff that feels really relatable, this huge national event, and somehow baking, the smell of cake.
It sounds unlikely, but that's the journey. So for this deep dive, we really want to unpack that whole narrative from the source he brought. Look at the challenges he was up against.
Okay.
That massive turning point with the 9/21 earthquake and, you know, how it basically let him completely rewrite his life script.
Yeah, in a way he probably never saw coming. So let's start with Ozzy himself. Before the quake, what's the picture the source paints?
Well, it says he's a young guy, recently recovered from some kind of illness. And he makes this really significant choice.
Which is
A lifelong commitment, a vow to be vegetarian. And this stems from his reverence for Maitreya Buddha. So it wasn't just like, oh, I'll try veggie. It was deep.
a really deep personal commitment. And how did that land at home? Because the source suggests his family was pretty traditional.
Oh, absolutely. Very traditional. They were involved in farming, physical work, and also ran a traditional Chinese medicine clinic for Gray.
Right, so lots of physical effort involved.
Exactly. Their whole worldview, their livelihood kind of depended on physical strength. And they truly believed, that meat was essential for that. So him saying, no meat, big friction point right away.
You can just feel that tension. What were they worried about specifically? Just his strength for the farm work, or was it like something more?
The source suggests it was kind of layered. Definitely worries about the physical side, yeah. Could he keep up? Could he do the hard labor? But it seems there was also this deeper fear. His quiet dedication, his vegetarianism. Maybe they worried it meant he was heading towards becoming a monk or just living this solitary life away from them, away from the family business.
So it felt like more than just food choices. It was like he was maybe rejecting their whole path, their future plans for him.
It could certainly feel that way, yeah. And the source actually gives us a specific reaction from his parents.
What did they do?
They threw down this challenge. It sounds like maybe they were testing him or maybe just trying to make it practically impossible. They said, if you want to be vegetarian, fine, cook for yourself.
Oof. Putting it all on him.
Right, the whole burden.
And how did he respond? Did he argue? Did he push back?
That's the really interesting part. No arguments, no big confrontation.
Really?
Yeah, instead, he just quietly takes action. The source says he goes and enrolls himself in a vegetarian cooking certification course. Wow, okay.
And it frames it as more than just learning recipes. It's like his chosen form of self-cultivation, his,
okay.
There's this amazing image in the text that says he swapped his boxing gloves, probably referencing the martial arts side of the clinic.
Right.
For a spatula, air. He's literally trading one tool for another, channeling that energy differently.
I love that. Trading like the expected tool of strength or maybe even combat for this tool of quiet creation, building something himself.
Precisely.
And all of this is going on while he's also getting ready for his military service.
Exactly. So he's got this internal family drama. He's learning this new skill set. And looming over it all is this big, kind of unavoidable life step, military conscription, a very structured path.
Okay, so he's at this real crossroads.
Yeah.
Family pressure, new skills, military duty coming up, and then
the unexpected happens, big time. 1999, the 9/21 earthquake hits Taiwan.
A massive earthquake. Huge. And according to the source, his official registered family home, which was in a mountainous area affected by the quake, it gets damaged or maybe even destroyed by the aftershocks.
Okay, so even if he wasn't physically there at that exact moment, his official address was in the disaster zone.
That's the key. Just because of that registration, that address, he suddenly, unexpectedly, becomes a registered earthquake victim, a déchet.
Which, on paper, changes his status completely.
Totally. And this bureaucratic detail, you could call it, leads to this incredible unforeseen consequence.
What happens?
Well, soon after the quake, the local district office sends out an official document and a judge.
Okay.
And as part of the government's relief effort, trying to help families rebuild, they grant exemptions from military service to registered earthquake victims so they can go home, help out.
Wait, hold on. So just because his family home was damaged and that was his registered address, he got out of the military before he even went in.
Exactly. Before he even reported for duty. The timing is just, well, the source calls it a miracle of fate.
I can see why. How did he react when he got that notice? What does the source say?
It says, holding that official discharge order before serving a single day, he felt this overwhelming clarity. Like this was it. This was a definite chance to leave. Eins. A sign. Don't look back.
Wow. So this destructive event, this disaster, literally cleared his previously set path.
Ah.
It gave him an out he wasn't expecting.
An out he didn't even have to fight for. It just arrived.
Incredible. So what does he do with this newfound freedom, this unexpected status?
Well, almost immediately after getting that exemption, he spots an ad in the newspaper.
Okay, for what?
It's an ad for a free training course in Western pastry baking, offered by the Taichung Vocational Training Bureau.
And let me guess.
You got it. The crucial detail. The course was specifically for earthquake victims.
Unbelievable. So the earthquake not only gets him out of the military, it directly qualifies him for this. Completely different opportunity.
It lined up perfectly, or maybe imperfectly, depending on how you look at disasters. But for him, it was a path forward.
Did he hesitate?
Not according to the source. Says he enrolled right away, packed a small bag, and moved into a dormitory the first time he'd ever properly lived away from home, really striking out on his own.
And what was that like for him? The baking school. The source must describe the contrast.
Oh, it does, vividly. It really paints this picture of a totally different sensory world for him.
How so?
It talks about the smells, the constant aroma of flour, the warmth coming off the ovens. Kind of comforting, maybe?
Yeah, sounds much nicer than maybe farm smells or medicine smells.
Exactly. And the source really highlights what wasn't there, what was missing from his old life.
Right. What wasn't there?
No farming tools lying around, no smell of those traditional medicine plasters from the clinic.
Okay.
And really importantly, no scolding voices. No judgment, no questioning looks about his food choices, nobody pressuring him to give up being vegetarian.
Ah, that must have been huge.
It sounds like it. The source actually calls this period of time when he discovered a free spirit.
Like he could finally just breathe.
Yeah.
And be himself and learn this new thing without any of the old baggage.
That's the feeling you get. Just space. Space to learn, space to be.
Does it mention what he thought about during this time? Like while he was learning to bake?
Yeah, it touches on his reflections, like he's kneading dough or waiting for something to rise, and he thinks about the alternative.
Where he could have been.
Exactly. He could be doing grueling military drills or stuck working late nights back at the family clinic. And this contrast makes him start to see the sequence of events differently.
How so?
He starts to feel like maybe these weren't just random, chaotic accidents. The illness, the vow, the earthquake, the exemption, the baking course. It started to feel, the source says, like a merciful arrangement.
A merciful arrangement. Wow. So not just luck or a disaster, but something almost guided. Is that what the source implies?
That's the deeper interpretation the source pulls out of his experience, yeah. It suggests the earthquake wasn't just a tragedy. For him, it was also a kind of release.
A release.
Yeah, and a transformation. Like the
Yeah.
sheer force of the event was necessary to break him out of what felt like his predetermined path, his family's expectations, his husier destiny.
And allowed him to actually grab the reins himself.
Exactly. To move towards taking conscious control, grabbing the initiative over his own fate.
So the baking, it wasn't just learning a skill, it was symbolic.
Very symbolic. The source puts it beautifully. He learned much more than making cakes. It says he learned how to bake his life into a new form. Shiame.
Using the ingredients he was given, even the difficult ones.
Right. Using the disruption, the opportunity, his own quiet resolve, and creating something completely new from it all.
So where does the source leave IC? After the training, what's his next move?
It ends with a very simple but very powerful decision he makes as the course finishes. He's tasted this freedom, found this new direction,
Yeah.
and he makes this quiet, firm resolution. The source quotes him, "This time, I'm not going back."
Wow. Just like that. I'm not going back. That says everything, doesn't it?
It really does. It's the culmination of that whole unexpected journey. The disaster created an opening, and he walked through it decisively, breaking free.
It's an incredible story. It really drives home how something we see as purely negative, purely destructive,
Like an earthquake.
can become this, well, This catalyst, a catalyst for finding freedom, finding a completely different path that maybe aligns more with who you really are.
And that idea connects directly to the soulful insight part of the source material you shared.
What does that say?
It suggests that sometimes life needs that kind of shakeup, needs a disruption, like an earthquake. Not just to tear things down, but because the rebuilding process itself is where something new and essential can actually grow.
And that light can get in through the cracks.
Exactly. The cracks left by the damage become the openings for new possibilities, for a different kind of light to enter.
It definitely makes you pause and think. How often in our own lives might something that feels like a total setback or even a kind of destruction might actually be clearing the ground, making space for something unexpected, maybe something better, something more authentic to emerge. And it's not about avoiding the quakes, maybe, but about what you choose to build after the shaking stops. Maybe something sweeter than you thought possible.
And that really is the final thought the source leaves us with, and maybe leaves you, the listener, with too. Now that you've heard Asi's story, what cracks might be showing up in your own life? And could they perhaps be letting in a new kind of light?